Some friendships that I made during low points in my life didn't last after I healed and stopped pleasing people. Hey, Alex, I'm planning a long weekend trip next month. Would you like to come? Hey, Alex, I'm hosting a birthday party. Would you like to come? Hey, Alex, how's it going? Thinking of you. Hey, Alex, are you planning to do anything for your birthday? Hey, Alex, happy birthday to you. Over the last couple of years, I have had two of my long lasting friends fade away, and it's been weighing on me. I wondered if there was something wrong with me, and that was why I kept losing friends. That didn't make sense though. Some of these friendships lasted for more than 15 years, so obviously they were working for a long time, and then something changed. What I realized is that these friendships started when I was at a bad place in my life. Back then, I lacked boundaries. I could tell things weren't going well, but didn't know why. I spent a lot of time hashing things over with my friends who acted as stand-in therapists. While it was nice to have some shoulders to cry on, things didn't get better for me for a long time. I was able to keep these friendships while things weren't going well because I think those friends were going through similar things, and we were all collectively not facing our issues, just going through life on autopilot. The thing that changed is that I started putting a lot of work into therapy and healing myself emotionally. I managed to turn my life around and started doing better in many areas of my life. I started taking care of my needs. I got into a healthy relationship, whereas previously I was either perpetually single or in unhealthy relationships. I got a better job that paid well and had a supportive manager instead of constantly complaining about the outdated culture in my last company. I identified several toxic family members who were dragging me down and distanced myself from them. I worked on developing my relationship with my parents and healthy family members and learned to get less triggered by them. I stopped drinking alcohol almost entirely. When I reintroduced my friends to the new version of myself, that's when my friends noticed the change and our communications tapered off. I think these two friendships worked earlier in my life because I was in the habit of making myself small so others would feel better. This tendency stemmed from growing up in my competitive family environment where family regularly bullied other family members to make themselves feel better. In this environment, I learned to downplay my accomplishments to remain invisible and less threatening to my insecure relatives. By operating this way, I kept myself relatively safe, although family members still lashed out at me and tried to put me down. I believe I then unconsciously extended this tendency to shrink myself to my friendships, and I attracted people to me who needed someone like this because they didn't want to be reminded of their regrets and lack of growth. For so many years, I wasn't even aware I was doing it until I began to work on unearthing many negative unconscious beliefs and correcting them. I had a habit of downplaying myself and my achievements so that others could feel better about themselves. Sometimes I would stop myself from sharing some successful aspect of my life because I know the other person wouldn't like to hear it. Then, if I forget to censor myself, I worry if the other person will stop talking to me. I've refrained from introducing boyfriends. I've even made disparaging statements about myself so the other person wouldn't feel threatened. I've also let potentially demeaning statements slide as I was worried speaking up would upset the other person. It was a lot of work having to carefully sense what my friends could handle and then adjust myself accordingly. However, I put up with it at that point in my life because I needed these friends and the benefits of the friendship outweighed the negatives. There are many negative consequences of constantly shrinking myself for others. For starters, my friends didn't know my whole personality in person because I censored some of it. They sometimes didn't know my true achievements, desires, and capabilities. It was also exhausting and caused me to lose confidence in myself. Our subconscious believes what we say. So if I tell another person that I don't think I can do it, my subconscious will hear this and I will lose the confidence to try. When this is repeated over and over again, I suddenly start to believe that this diminished version of myself is the real me instead of the empowered version of myself. The biggest consequence of shrinking myself is that I end up attracting the wrong type of people for myself. I end up attracting people who are too inflexible or insecure to see the real me instead of people who see what I can do and encourage me to live to my fullest potential. If you've ever worn underwear that's a few sizes too small, that's what it can feel like when you are constantly making yourself smaller to help others around you feel bigger. In this case, making yourself smaller means repressing your true personality, thoughts, desires, and self around others simply because they can't handle the truth. Bruce Lee. I made myself feel small so that others could feel better about themselves. I had a friend who couldn't deal with the fact that I drove a nice car and had a bigger house than hers. She would never come over to my house, even though I invited her numerous times. Then, when I got a new job that gave me great raises and told her about it, I noticed that I didn't hear from her much afterward. We used to text a lot and make a call every couple of months. Now conversations are short and don't go anywhere when I text her. Our friendship is slowly fading away. I think I reminded her of career regrets, and she didn't want to be unexpectedly reminded of it when I brought it up in conversation. So our friendship just didn't work anymore because our conversations would bring up negative feelings for her. I, on the other hand, felt like I needed a more supportive friend. My friend didn't feel threatened when I was in the same work situation as her, and both of us felt stagnant and frustrated because I didn't trigger her back then. In my other friendship, I felt like I had to hide my romantic relationships. Although we had known each other for almost 15 years, I never once met a man she was dating. We talked about it plenty. It was one of our main conversation topics. But I only heard of these men and never met one of them in person. It didn't occur to me as strange until recently. On my end, I introduced her to a few of my ex-boyfriends. However, I had a hunch that things might not go well when I introduced her to my most recent partner, and my suspicions were confirmed. She brought up embarrassing stories about me and threw a tantrum. She did tell me that she often got bored and restless after being in a relationship for a few months, and that's why they didn't last for her. I guess that she could see our paths were diverging. The heartfelt birthday and Christmas cards that we exchanged every year started to taper off, and eventually she wasn't even returning my texts. The ending of any relationship teaches us something. It could show us some unhealthy patterns we have in our relationship. For example, maybe we don't have the best boundaries, or we keep having the same issues with people. When one ends, we can more clearly see what went wrong, and that can help us prepare for future relationships so we don't keep making the same mistakes. Caddy Morton. I've decided that my people-pleasing tendencies are going to stop now. I'm not going to shrink myself anymore just because other people can't handle it. I am going to say what I am thinking and not worry about whether other people might get too intimidated and insecure because of it. This is a big relationship breakthrough for me and a lesson that I will apply as I develop my friendships going forward. Imagine how much more fun I can have with my friends and how much more energy I'd have to plan and enjoy fun times with my friends when I'm not worrying about what other people think and having to choose what I say carefully because of it. In the end, it's better to seek and be around people who appreciate who I am and encourage me to be myself. I had a funny notion that I've carried around with me for years, that I couldn't be in a healthy relationship and have friends at the same time. It was difficult to explain, yet I suspected that somewhere deep down it could be true. I'm realizing now that this is true, although I would amend my statement to, I couldn't be in a healthy relationship and still be friends with certain people at the same time. There were friends who I had, mainly one of my best friends from the past, who wouldn't be able to maintain a friendship with me if she saw that I was in a healthy relationship that was going to last. I think I was a benchmark for her while she watched her sister and other people pair off and get married. As long as I was still single and we had each other, she could tell herself that she was fine. Once I got paired off, she got jealous and needed to find someone else to be her benchmark, casting me out. Two people can outgrow friendships, whether it is because of diverging paths, lifestyle changes, values misalignment, life transitions, or personal growth. I know that I have to accept when friendships run their course. Sometimes I reach out as many times as I can and it's up to the other person to reciprocate. It's a two-way street. If the other person is silent and not actively making an effort, there's nothing I can do. Although I am sad about it, I know I have to let it go. I guess I'll just say thanks to those people for being there for me during tough times, and I'm grateful for the nice memories we made together. Sadly, they won't be coming forward with me in the future, but there's a reason why our friendship no longer works. The best thing to do is to take some time to reflect on why, to learn the lessons there, so as not to repeat any unworkable dynamics with other people. As I have moved forward on my healing journey, Some of my friends are happy for me when they see the positive changes I have made. A few of my friends are curious about what I've done differently. I know I can keep these friends who will be supportive and cheer me on as I build my life. I can bring them with me forward in my life. If people are intimidated, they'll exit my life naturally. If they are moving in the same direction, I don't think they would be intimidated and would be interested in getting to know me better. It hasn't been an easy transition, even with the support of my therapist and partner. However, as I let go of expired friendships, I look forward to filling the space that has opened up in my life with friendships that are more balanced and equitable, and with people who are on a similar life path as me. I think a more rewarding social life will follow naturally.